Tom, Josh, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good. You're on the screen.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
We can see each other on the screen in the studio. It's pretty cool.
Yes, you are very big on the right of me on a screen. So when did music come into your lives that you felt like, oh, maybe this is the path that I should start walking
as soon as the hotel business dried up, we turned to music. We turned straight to music. We were out on the streets busking. We just kind of grew up playing music, and it was like you wanted to be in a band. We'd go skateboarding and we lived next door to each other. So, we played guitar. We tried to write songs. And funnily enough, our new record, Loving in Stereo, is one of the first songs we ever wrote together.
No way.
Yes, we decided to call our third record "Loving in Stereo" because that song never came out. We were like 13 then, and.
But wait! Is that song on the record?
Can you imagine?
I mean, maybe if you replayed it a little bit, but it's not on the record.
If you play it backwards, twice the speed.
No, it's just like it's like a title which kind of summed up that point in our childhood, and I thought, it would be fun to call it that, isn't it?
To reclaim our childhoods.
Has it become harder with the growing success of the band to leave your ego behind?
I think so. Obviously, people were like, "Okay, you're going to play Glastonbury," and we're like, "Oh, but we want to stay in our bedroom." It's like, we're cool here playing GTA and just chilling. So. I think naturally, as we put the music out, we never expected, it to go as far as it did, and ultimately you get taken on a wild journey, and it kind of becomes the property of the fans at some point. Even with this new record, the moment it comes out, it's everybody else's. It's no longer ours.
Mm-hmm.
There's a kind of sacrifice to that as well.
Yeah. If there was a button that you could push and that would mean that nobody would know who's behind Jungle right now, would you push that button?
Ooh.
That's an interesting question.
I would personally say yes.
Yeah? Why?
Because it's more fun.
And Josh, you have to think about it a bit.
Well... Yeah, I mean, I kind of would, to be honest with you, because I feel like it's part of. I think mystery music is so important. It's especially in the age we live in. Nobody likes to see a movie when you know the ending or you know it all. It's the kind of intrigue which keeps you interested in it, and I think that's so important. And we've just lost it, these days with social media. Everything is just like, how can you give everything of all of yourself to somebody and hope that they
Mm-hmm.
Don't get bored of you. But I think the less you give, the more kind of intrigued people are,
Yeah. Speaking of Keep Moving, that's also a song. I think there's a 25-minute version of that song as well, right?
Well, yeah. There's a long. It's not a version of one song. It's like multiple styles of the same song. So it was a way of finding the actual version that we had. We did a long session, and we did 25 minutes worth of it. Changed every 3 minutes. So there's one that sounds like RJD2 version, which is cool. That one's cool. We should put that one out.
Was that the song that laid down the bass for Lovin' in Stereo, or was that another song?
I think actually it was Fire, to be honest with you. Fire was one of the first tracks which we were like, oh wow, this could be something new, and this could be something cool, a cool sort of take on what Jungle is. And it was this sort of chaotic track called Fire, which is, people, if this is going out live, nobody will have a clue what it is yet. But it's one of our favourites. It's like this heist hold-up track. I don't know, you've not heard it, have you?
I haven't. I haven't.
It's cool. It basically goes down and in and out.
Guys, I want to talk to you about mixtapes and your love for hip-hop. You already mentioned it. You've always been inspired by soul and hip-hop, but more so by UK hip-hop, right?
Yeah, when we were both younger, I remember the reason why I sort of failed my exams in science when I was 15 or 16 is because I had a friend at school who introduced me to Brain Tax, Jest, Kalashnikov, all of those UK hip hop records. And I just sort of got lost in it. And we've shared that for a long time now. And we actually got to meet Jest at a festival 4 years ago. And that was actually quite a big moment. I think he's probably literally one of the only artists on earth that I'm nervous of bumping into, having a conversation with. But yeah, it was a cool scene, man. And like the way they sampled stuff, the records they used to sample was really interesting. There was a producer called Harry Love, who sort of like was the kind of go-to beat maker for that generation of UK hip hop artists. And yeah, took a lot of inspiration. And, you know, hip hop is a very didactic language. You know, I mean, it speaks to you from, you know, a certain place and time. And for us to have hip hop that was kind of from the UK and spoke about issues that were going on in the UK rather than listening to American hip hop, which you didn't necessarily have that like emotional connection with, because it was a different language essentially, right? So yeah, that's why the UK scene resonated with us.
Yeah, but I also feel like sonically, when you listen to the sound, you can really distinguish US and UK hip hop. What would you say is the biggest difference when we're talking about it producing wise or sonically wise?
I mean, obviously the accent is
true.
the most obvious thing.
They feel a bit dustier, do you know what I mean? I think the samples that they were using on the British scene were kind of a little bit more like classical sounding. You know, potentially sampling like actually classical music or music from an earlier period that was like a bit softer. And then, you know, hip hop, they were essentially just like flipping like disco tunes from the decade before into like classic beats. So I think there's potentially that element to it.
Yeah. As a fan of UK hip hop, who are some people that are really pushing the envelope currently? According to
UK,
yeah, in the UK.
I mean, obviously Sims is doing some great stuff, and you know, she's a fan favorite, I think, of us, and you know, we really like Koji Radical.
Yeah, Green Tea Peng. That's also.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Young artist on the urban scene in London.
I think Slow Tie as well. I mean, we kind of grew up knowing him as well. He was a friend through a friend of a friend, and. I mean, we had you know, he's done such an amazing kind of thing about disrupting the scene, you know, and kind of just bringing a little bit of punk back into everything. You know, there was a period in music where everyone was just so polite about everything. You know, it was like, thank you, thanks so much for having us, thank you. Oh, it's been real nice, and like we're so humbled. And he kind of just came in. He's a little bit more, you know, he's got a little bit of more aggression, which I really love in music, you know. You look at Liam Gallagher, for example, and like it's just fun. It's just fun to watch, isn't it?
It is.
You kind of like someone being like just obnoxious, and
it's very entertaining.
Headlines.
It's just fun, isn't it? We lost that in the 90s.
Yeah, but you guys kind of made an hip hop album, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Aside from
where
Love
are you
and
getting
Hysteria.
random bits from?
Well,
is it in a box? Where have you got this information?
Research teams earned his money today, haven't they?
Research. She's like, you've got a
give your researchers a pay rise.
Yeah, we made a lot of, you know, we as I said, like most kind of producers and stuff, we start by like making beats, and like, you know, we've been making so many hip hop beats even way before Jungle was a thing, you know. And it's just like, it's the thing you go to do. You listen to Jay Dilla and you're like, I want to be Jay Dilla. You know, like I'm going to get myself an MPC and I'm going to be Jay Dilla. And I think that, you know, from there we kind of made a lot of hip hop beats, and my cousin Jamie also was making a lot of beats, and we just so wanted to make a hip hop record. So we started on making a hip hop record, and we had like a load of features on it. It was almost ready to come out, and then I think, you know, it's just so difficult to finish those sort of things because it's so hard to get the rappers to do their second verses.
Everyone's in a million places.
So you've got amazing first verses, and then you're like, yo, remember that thing we did the other week? Like, can you send me a second verse, please? And it just doesn't happen. And, you know, my one bit of advice if you're working with rappers is make sure you get their second verse down before they leave. Because it's so hard to chase that shit up. So
that second 16-year-old.
Because that's what I wanted to ask. What are some things that you've learned from that album process?
I mean, yeah, it's a different sort of energy making kind of hip hop and doing that, because it's almost like it's about the energy in the studio, and it's about that kind of almost it's like almost a performance. You know, you have more people in the studio. You know, sometimes when we make records, you know, it would just be like us two just sitting there and you know, working away on it. But with hip hop records, you kind of have to kind of create like an environment and like a party almost. It's got to be fun, and I think it sort of taught us to let go and be a bit more free with it and make it more of a kind of a communal thing, you know?
I want to talk to you about movement and the amazing visuals you guys produce. I read somewhere that you guys made 14 videos in 5 days.
Oh yeah.
Again, your research team has done their job.
Back in February of this year, we
February 21.
We tested everyone and made a little bubble, and then we went down to this location down in Dover, and we took this amazing cast of people, and we decided to make a visual for every track on the album, because we never know which one's going to be a fan favorite, and to have a visual for each of them in this day and age, everybody just eats up the content. They love it.
Yeah.
Videos, scroll, video.
It's true, but what was it like? That process must have been very intense. 14.
It was beautiful. It was really beautiful, and I think the energy that we achieved on those shoots, you have no time to question what you're doing, right? The dancers, I was about to say athletes, but essentially they are also athletes.
Olympics.
As well. On my mind, by the way. They're amazing, right? But they get tired, they get stressed, they get worked up, and so there are some videos where they're on their limit, right? And that energy really comes through the screen at you as a viewer, and that really echoes the sort of way that we tried to make this record. Is don't think about things too much. Take the first idea as the best idea, and finish it with a lot of energy and a lot of good vibes. And it was just amazing to be on set with such amazingly talented people.
Yeah, but I feel like the whole dancing thing has been a part of Jungle from the beginning. I feel like what is your relationship with dance, with that type of way of movement?
I mean, obviously dancing is the most easy way for a human to express themselves physically to music, right? And it's obviously a very simple thing, right? And I think when we made the first video for Platoon, it was what's the most simple idea? Okay, it's going to be dancing, and then it's about finding the talent and the people to work with that really take your breath away, essentially. And every artist and dancer that we've worked with has shocked us with their interpretation of our music on screen.
Mm-hmm. How involved are you when it comes to the visuals?
I do the catering. That's my job. on set caterer, and occasional grip.
Well, it's sort of developed over the years. The first video we were there, just us three in a camera, and that was it. But I think we're pretty hands-on with it. It's something that we've always just sort of thought, well, who else is going to make it if we're not going to make it? I don't think we get too kind of het up with the idea of oh, I'm a director. Yeah, it's just you do it and you just make it happen. And ultimately the stars of the show and this are the amazing cast of the videos. And with this new album, we're almost making a Netflix series. There's these two kind of gangs, this girl gang and this boy gang, and you follow them through the whole each track on the album, and
right.
It's almost each track is an episode of this illusion of them being kind of lost in their kind of selves, and all these videos are projections of who they want to be and what they feel like they are. It's a little bit like The Matrix, but without the story,
It's like The Matrix, but with dancing.
You know what I say? Yeah, it's what I say. It's like Shutter Island, but it's with dance.
Because I wanted to ask, I feel like you guys are trying to tell a story with the videos.
Ultimately, it's good fun, and I think that without trying to be too kind of pretentious about it, it's just we loved watching Michael Jackson dance when we were younger, and thinking wow, I want to rock it, beat it, I think I can do that. And I think that ultimately from our videos we want to sit there and be inspired by it, and if they inspire people to kind of be free and express themselves, then they're doing their job. But at the end of the day, they're just fun.
Guys, you always also started a label, right?
By accident, yeah.
Because I don't want to mispronounce the name. How do you pronounce the name?
I just want to hear your pronunciation. Why don't you guess first? Because it'll be fun.
Okay, I thought Caiola.
It's close.
Close, really close.
Yeah? What is it?
Yeah, it's Caiola.
Caiola, right. When did you guys decide to start a label?
Well, we just thought this would be the right thing to do. I think, we kind of, how would you describe it? I'm lost.
I mean, essentially, we just got the opportunity to to do it completely ourselves and have complete control, even over like the label side of things. Our management team worked tirelessly as a result, and you know what I mean, like, have set this whole platform up for us so that, yeah, ultimately we can make our own decisions through and through, like throughout the whole process. And ultimately that's why we've got 14 videos, because I think, like, let's be honest, artists on any label would not be allowed to make 14 videos like for their whole record. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't be possible. And so we made an artistic decision, and a decision that like has like set us free creatively. And I think it just adds to the fact, it adds to our level of confidence within ourselves and our own self-belief in what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. So it obviously also influenced the album process then of Love in Stereo.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the first record that hasn't been A&R'd in any way, and there's no label. So, you know, you can only really do it after a certain point. You know, we were on XL for a while, which was great. It's a great label, but it comes a point where, you know, you kind of grow up and you kind of don't need that sort of advice. You don't need that kind of guardianship. You just, you kind of need to trust and believe in yourself. You know, I think we found ourselves on a second record, like looking to somebody else to tell us whether our music is good or bad, you know, and at the moment, you know, it's like, we have to know. There has to be a deep knowing. And if you don't just know, then, you know, you're a little bit lost.
Yeah. So, will you guys be signing other artists as well?
Are you looking for a deal?
What have you got?
Not me, but I might know some people.
I mean, send us some bars.
I mean, yeah, I think, you know, to be honest with you, I mean, a lot of artists will say that labels, you know, labels are a bit of an unfair deal. I wouldn't want to kind of start a conglomerate and be in that kind of chin-wagging label kind of sort of area. You know, we're artists ultimately, and I suppose if we ran a label, we'd probably give 90% to the artist, you know, so
right.
Yeah.
You want to sign with us, you get a good deal.
Yeah.
Sign with us.
That's like
us and we'll be bankrupt.
That's like the best promo ever. How would you describe that feeling right now?
Drunk. No, I'm joking.